Smith's got 3. Can Vandermeer Stomr through, gets a point. That gives the Dogs the lead. But they'll go straight up the middle with 50 seconds remaining.
Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG in studio. It's good to be back out of ISO. How are you, mate?
Very good. Best weekend of the AFL calendar, the prelim weekend.
It's nearly the best weekend of, well, it'll be challenging for like best weekend of sports and racing betting. You got Mackay Davis Stakes, you got the AFL prelim, Rugby League week 1, you got the tennis on.
NFL
it's one of those
off.
super Saturday, super weekends, super
It
duper.
is. Yes, starts tomorrow morning with the NFL. Tampa Bay and Dallas.
Oh, yeah, and then you got NFL.
And then we go straight through.
Outstanding. Absolute porn. And speaking of porn, Luke O'Brien from last season joins us again from AFL Ops World. Welcome back. Courageous move coming in this week too, OB. Welcome back to the show. Everyone knows OB. How are you?
Good, thank you, mate. Good to be back. You promised me SJT or Darcy. Now I've got MG and Scoot. So anyway, it's good to be
Too
back.
much testosterone.
It's good to be back, and thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great stuff. Now, if you just join, or if you don't know Luke, he used to work for the St Kilda Footy Club, and now he's worked for, or under Stephen Hocking in the AFL Ops department. So if you've got a beef, it's probably with OB. They've made an absolute disaster of all these rule changes. We'll sink our teeth into that just a little bit later. But brave man coming in, very brave man coming in. But MG, how was the weekend on the punt for you?
I'm going to say it was tough. It was up and down. The Brisbane was not a good watch against the Bulldogs, unfortunately. A bit players from Brisbane not taking account for their actions, and one of the most poorly umpired games of the year for mine.
There's a big chorus of that. But before we get into that, I thought Brisbane ran out of legs for a good long period of the game. I think they were flat for about a good 40 minutes. I don't know where they went, but they just couldn't pick up their feet for a while there. They switched right off.
Yeah, I think both teams had their chances, and they did miss goals that maybe they could have kicked as well, and they both had their patches for sure. Brisbane was certainly up and about, and they got to 3 goals in front, and then Charlie Cameron had that snap, which could have pushed, maybe broken the string for the Bulldogs as well. But the Bulldogs are nothing but gutsy, are they? That was a really good comeback and held their nerve late as well. So I can't believe it wasn't a tie for extra time.
Could you believe it?
I think Brisbane played into the Bulldogs' hands. It was a contested ball game. They needed to get their runners out. Mitch Robinson, he's been great all year, just blazing away, doesn't lower the eyes. Yeah. That's what they want. They want Keith and Gardner and these guys to sort of drop off and intercept mark, and that's what they did, and rebounded from the back because none of their half forwards defended. So only got themselves to blame, Brisbane, and definitely wasn't the umpiring fault.
Yeah. It was kind of they kind of had it both on their terms at certain times. You saw how dynamic Charlie Cameron was in the first quarter, and he looked like he could have kicked any number of goals. And then the Bulldogs were able to change that around the pattern or the style of play, and then they got it back on their own terms. And all of a sudden, as you said, the lights kind of went out on Brisbane. But I think that was more the Bulldogs doing than the Brisbane changed their game style. They just weren't allowed the space in the forward 50. And if that continued, Brisbane should have won the game easily.
Yeah, and I think with Charlie Cameron, when he kicks his goals early, then he wants to sort of try and get out the back, and he doesn't do the hard work. So I like him kicking his goals in the second and third quarter personally, because he sort of works into the game. Whereas early on in the game, teams put a lot more time into him, put a lot more body onto him, and then he just tries to get the cheap ones. But
did you think that Jarrell was going to go toe to toe with him then? I thought Charlie was off to the races late in the game. I thought he'd go off and kick the goal.
Yeah, watching the replay, I thought the last contest, the last body contact that they had, I thought Charlie Cameron would love his time over again. I thought he was really poor, and he didn't want the body contact. If you watch the replay again, Jarrell had one intent. He wanted to take Charlie's body and the ball to the boundary. He knew exactly where he was going. And just on that last instance, if you watch it over again, he's got the whole goal mouth in front of him, knowing he needs that point to get a tie. Charlie should have had body contact on Jarrell for mine, and the ball still going forward. That was my take on it. Yeah. So 100%. I thought if he had his time over again, I thought he was when it counted, I thought he'd love his time over again. I thought he should have been harder at it.
And we were pretty keen on the Cats last week. We expected them to bounce back. They just had too many players off their tucker the week before, and they just dismantled the Giants.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both. I think, for whatever reason, Geelong's record, and you can never really put a finger on it, that their record's been so poor in the first week of finals, and their bounce back factor's been enormous, and that didn't change. And I think the other coin just shows when you come off a hard final, which the Giants did against Sydney, it's very hard to travel and back up, and maybe just a bit of legs for GWS as well.
Thoughts on that one?
I thought GWS played their grand final the week before. They don't like Sydney. They got themselves up for it. I was fortunate enough to be at that game, and you just see they were really up and about. Obviously, Toby Green played, which does help. But the guys
They were lucky to get through, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. And Sydney had all the chances late, but guys like Stein and these guys played out of their skin. Yeah, that's right. So their fringe players probably gained sort of 10%, then having to go from Tasmania to Perth, quarantine, do it all again against these hardened bodies of Geelong who were in Perth earlier than them. So I just think the toll of the year and the toll of the week before took it out on the Giants.
Agree.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Be interesting to see what happens this week. Let's have a quick look at the bookie wrap. It was just 50-50. There was only 2 games, so one favourite, one covered, and then one total went over there. And when we have a look at the hits and misses where the money went, all the money was for the Cats at the minus. So yeah, we did get that one right, 11.5 to 18.5. That was a hit. And there was a miss for the total, 155 to 151. It was a goal fest there, 171 the total finished. And the Brisbane line, it was 3.5 to 8.5. And as we've just said, the Western Bulldogs fell in by a point. But yeah, it was an interesting game to watch. At certain times throughout the match, it felt like just the Bulldogs just keep hanging on. It wouldn't have surprised me throughout the second and third quarters that Brisbane were just going to push off to a 4 or a 5 goal lead, but it just didn't happen. And I don't know. Halfway between that third quarter, they just sort of lost all legs. And a couple of mates of mine are Western Bulldogs supporters and friends, and I didn't want to go the Crow, but I was pretty convinced that the Bulldogs were going to keep coming. And once that, you could just feel it and see it in the game that they just stopped running. And I was surprised that it ended up being just a 1-point game, and Brisbane was sort of like a reverse backdoor cover for the Lions to get themselves off the hook, but it just didn't eventuate, obviously.
Yep, no, it's true. Well, I mean, you can magnify.
But what a game!
You can magnify certain areas all the time when it's a really close game, and even if you watch the last 2 or 3 minutes, we just talked about Cameron right at the last second when he had a chance to tie it up with any score. The Bulldogs were down the other end. They got that lucky point that was almost like half a handball from the Bulldogs guy just to force it over the line. Even the Bailey's goal just a minute before that was, he kind of got a lucky ricochet off, and then the seas parted for him, I guess. And there was 2 or 3 free kicks in the last 2 or 3 minutes that had everyone up about as well. And I just think they always focus on those moments. And if you just watch the last 2 or 3 minutes, there's 5 or 6 instances which swing the game result either way.
Exactly, and I thought it was one of the best games of the year. From an entertainment point of view, I thought it was fantastic. And you sort of spoke about Mitch Robinson earlier. I think he copped a really big hit at one stage and got himself back up. So I thought all players just cracked in, and it's going to be fascinating to see how sort of Bont and the Dogs sort of limp through.
The crowd's back too.
Yeah,
like the crowd, the Gabba was rocking, wasn't it? And the Bulldogs had enough fans up there as well, where they made plenty of noise as well.
Bit of noise.
So, it always adds on, and that's why Perth as well, the same thing. So we're looking forward to this weekend. It'll be a packed house in Adelaide and also Perth, so it'll be good watching.
Sell out Friday night. Melbourne, Geelong.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Everyone's footy hungry at the moment.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well, I think everyone's hungry for good live sport. They want to be back.
Everyone's completely starved.
It'll be a cracking game.
Yeah.
It should be in good conditions. There's a chance of a slight shower, but it should be awesome.
All right, sting of the tail. That's where we have a bit of a sook, bit of a rant about something that's got our nose out of joint. And there's 2 things, I guess, this week: the Neil transfer and the umpires. And MG was pretty scathing, but you only had to take to Twitter to see there was an army of people, and there was a lot of Western Bulldogs supporters that were sort of skiding that they'd got away with it. I didn't think it was as that bad. I thought both sides definitely got their opportunity to win the match, but the moment that I thought was sort of the season in a nutshell, it was the Caleb Daniel deliberate, where he's just hacked the ball out of the air, and this is something we've been speaking about all year. There was just For me, it was just that was the season. It was a no context, no thought, just this thirst for fast footy that the umpires and the AFLs want. So it's a bit, I'm going to throw you under the bus here, OB, so you can explain it. But Caleb Daniel, if you're watching the match and you're understanding the context of the match, he's just trying to clear the ball, and it's a desperate thing to clear the ball. You're not allowed to dive on top of it. There's so many things that you're not allowed to do. He's just hacked it. And then it's come off the side of his boot, accident. There's absolutely no way his intention there was to deliberately push out of bounds. And out of all the rules that I've whinged about and sooked about in the game, the deliberate out of bounds is the one that rubs me up, I guess, the wrong way the most. And that was just a howler. Like, they have to change their mindset of that, because there's no way that was deliberate out of bounds. That was not his intention. There's got to be intent if players, they can't just accidentally handball it or it skews off the side of the foot. It's got to be more thought around it.
It's not deliberate.
It's not deliberate. No.
In my opinion, like a hack swinging kick that, yes, could have gone anywhere. And if it gone out on the full, then the free kick should have been given, or would have been given. Sorry, but I just think when it's not even a skill, it's not even a skill error, is it? I just think those ones, and it only happens once or twice. It's very rare, but I just think they let those go. I just think. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I strongly disagree.
Right,
and look, I'm not just coming from the AFL point of view, but I think so. It is called deliberate, but it's insufficient attempt to keep the ball in. So when you hack the ball out of the air like Caleb Daniel did, he is one of the best skilled players in the game. Grab the ball and kick it, the ball would have stayed in. The ball would have gone long down the line. So when you take that out of your hands, so you just hacked it out of the air. People say he was trying to clear the area. I reckon he was wrapped at the ball went out of bounds. My personal view was that he was trying to clear the area, but would have been happy with it out of bounds. And I just thought there was insufficient attempt on his behalf to keep the ball in and keep the ball in play.
There's no instinct there though. Like, he's instinctively, if I see the ball, I just hack it out of the air to clear it, because I'm probably thinking that if I grab this, I'm just going to be surrounded and I'm maybe going to go to ground, or instead I try and clear the area and give it a big thump. But the bloke was nearly in the middle of the ground. Like, he's on the edge of the point post, like in line with the point post from memory, and it's basically gone at right angles. So I can see your argument. I'm a bit surprised by it, but I like it. I like where your head's at. Yeah. But I'm just not sure that I agree.
Good explanation. You had a bloke hanging off him, and I think the umpire's given any leeway basically to read I guess the flow of the game as well. Yeah. Like in that instance, it's like a player's instinct, as Scooty said, is to basically just clear the area. He had a bloke hanging off him pressure thing, and the ball's kind of in that mid-air, and he kind of thinks, if I take the ball here, maybe I get pinged for it. So my best option is to try and clear it. It didn't work. It was almost a barrel off the foot, and it goes close to being out of the bounds anyway. So you could look at it from Brisbane's point of view and say, well, if it went out of bounds on the full, we would have got the free kick. I just think, I think the flow of the game, the umpires, are they given that allowance to do? Because it seems like a lot of the times when there's feedback on games, that what upsets the fans is it's not within the spirit, but just within the flow of the game at that time.
Yeah, and I get the feel, and I get all that, but three very experienced umpires, Stevic, Finlay, and Williamson, all very, very good umpires. So I think there was a few other ones in the game. The McInerney stepping across the line, that was correct. The free kick for English at the end, that was, I don't know why he did that. He was winning all the ruck contests. Yeah. So that was fine. The Bailey Dale holding the ball from the other side of the ground, the vision was that Rich actually dragged it in. So there was a few there that was sort of line ball. But, I think deliberate or the insufficient attempt to keep the ball in is frustrating. You saw Brayshaw, Geelong, Geelong, Melbourne, the thriller down there as well. So I think a little bit of work has to go into it. But Michael Jennings is the new head coach of the umpires, and he's fantastic. Really good. Got a really good feel for the game. So, I think there'll be changes.
Can I ask, when you go into the off-season now and you review large sections, like I assume you review each game, so you have a catalogue more or less that you can refer to. So when you sit down at the end of a season, do you say, does this rule work? Did this not? Does the players' feedback get anything to the fans? Do the coaches? Do they all have some kind of input? So there's
the competition committee, which coaches, CEOs, players are on, and they work closely with the AFLPA around the rules. But it'll be interesting. That's what sort of Steve Hocking did, and now I'm not sure who the new head of football, who football operations boss will be. But they'll have a they'll go through and review that like they normally do.
And so do the umpires also give feedback?
Yes.
So they have a feel of the game, right? So they would know when either players are expressing their for and against out there, and they feel the fans as well, and probably the aftermath. So do they sit down during the week and say, are they almost gun shy to about the deliberate out of bounds, for example, where they say, should we be paying these because is it in, we don't think it's working with the overall look of the game or anything like that? Well, what's the breakdown for?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't sit that closely to the AFL umpiring piece, but I'd say they would. Like, they go through coaching, they go through a review. It's just like a team. They're sort of the AFL's 19th team, so they go through a review. Umpires get dropped and promoted, so that's how it works.
Yeah, I saw poor Razor got dropped again. He wasn't happy.
Well, I'm right with that. Like he's definitely the umpire that pays the Caleb Daniel out of bounds on the full. Yeah, every time. Yeah. Not like 99 times out of 100.
Be another one just off what we were talking about. Obviously, the final is the communication from umpires to players because they're mic'd up. Now, someone like Razor Ray, and I watch enough.
You watch every game
like everybody else. Those kind of things to me don't make any greater attraction to the game to watch or listen to. I don't think I watch AFL and I don't ever walk away and go, geez, I was really impressed the way Razor Ray communicates to a player and basically treats him like a third grader. I just think, and if you interviewed 100 people watching the game, they would rather do without it. So if they're mic'd up, and I understand the reason why they are mic'd up, I don't think the umpire's talking to the players down like that. And there's some great examples of players explaining exactly what happened. There was one in that match, I thought, or maybe the Geelong match, where 100% hit the nail. And even the commentators, both of the commentators said that was very well explained over the microphone. I just think it's a fine line. I think sometimes they go over it. Like, I don't think there was one other thing in the Bulldogs Brisbane game where he said it didn't pass the ball back to the umpire. I think it was around maybe the third foot. And he goes, if you do that again, I will pay a free kick. The umpire shouldn't be doing that. If it either is or it isn't, in my opinion, you pay the free kick if it's there, and I don't think that commentary needs to be done. I don't think it highlights the game.
The only people that so the umpires are mic'd up to communicate with each other and communicate with the ARC, the score review. So it's not for broadcast. Broadcast take the feed, and what Channel 7 love the umpires being mic'd up.
Right.
Yeah, so they turn it up, so it's a bit of a discussion point. Now we're talking about it, bit of theatre. That's right, and Ray's is the best at it. Just on Ray, he is a really nice bloke. Really nice bloke. Does a lot for charity. People say, just an umpire, whatever. He's a really genuine, nice person, Ray.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. But in terms of like doing the job and trying to get the best result and the best product and spectacle, like he's very divisive. But it just seems from the outside looking in that he's. Most people think he tries to make the game about himself and he over officiates. And like people don't like, and it's been through the review shows and stuff like that. Put the whistle away, and in finals you sort of hope that they don't over officiate, and you expect finals for people to let it go. You have to pay the ones that are there, sweet, but line ball even more so. Most people like whistle away and let the players figure it themselves, not the other way around. And it's always been like that. It's at the moment, I think we've spoken about this all year, it's too complicated, there's too many rules, and it's too hard for the umpires. We're actually in their corner. We want the game to be easier for them to officiate, and at the moment, you guys are trying to, it feels like the AFL are trying to craft a certain way of playing and a certain look for the game. It doesn't, and it feels like the poor old umpires are the messengers, and they're just getting shot down to pieces because it's too hard for them, and that's our feeling.
What I don't like throughout the year is basically the AFL will say we can't bag the umpires. Let's not say anything about the umpires because we can't get enough of them in the game, which I understand is going, and they're a big part of the game to get in. But then on the other hand, you just said that Channel 7, the broadcaster, loves that commentary because it blows things up, which the AFL love. AFL love being in the media all the time. That's why they don't black and white a lot of issues with the tribunal, the umpires and stuff like that. If they, as Scooty said, if they just brought the rules back, I think, simplified it somewhat, just let the players play, I think there'll be a lot less angst amongst all areas of the sport. But it sounds like the AFL and the broadcasters love that kind of thing because everyone talks about it. So
yeah, I think there's too many rules. Yep. And that's just my personal view. That's not an AFL. I think there's too many rules, and I think it's a hard game to umpire.
100%.
There's 36 really good athletes, strong athletes out there. And it's still the human element. So I think we've got. I agree. We've got to strip it back to make.
They err on the side of not paying first? Is that like a first instinct that would be trained? It's just pay it if you see it.
Yeah, pay what you see.
And do they go into the finals with that mindset or not, or is it it's the same as every other game?
Same as every other game. Yeah. Just control the controllables. Pay the obvious ones. And protect the ball carrier. Yeah, the main things.
So they're trying to be consistent across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the commentators will feed that as well, won't they?
Yeah, and it's also like it's sort of 9 games into 4. So it's sort of like it's heightened. There's a lot more eyes on it. It should be better football,
true,
and then you lose a game by a point, someone's not going to be happy. So it goes both ways. I think Brisbane have got a few other issues rather than the umpiring.
I agree. I thought it was overplayed. Both sides had their chances. All right. Well,
no doubt in the result.
Yeah, absolutely.
I personally, I'd love to sit back. I'd love to see the review of that game because I've watched it 3 times now, and I actually I did it once yesterday. Watched the whole in game as entirety, pretending I was an umpire coach.
Okay.
So I graded the game in terms of what free kicks broke it down.
Yep.
Now, I've heard some commentators say that, or a review of the game, that 47 free kicks was too many in the game. I don't think there was. The balance of the free kicks, there was nearly 80% of the free kicks that, in my opinion, were definitely there, whether they were there was a lot of out of bounds on the full.
Yep.
I think there was 8 in the game.
Yep.
So in terms of like 47 free kicks, and I think the balance of the two teams, when they say Brisbane were robbed and everything like that, I think there were certain instances that ended up in goal scoring that happened like that. But in terms of the free kicks, it was actually 15-15 in terms of like the ones that were there. It was more the ones that were missed or were questionable.
Yep.
Bont, there was an absolute howler that resulted in a Bulldogs goal where Bont was in the middle of the ground. He was swung more than 360. And it should have been paid holding the ball first, and then the release wasn't there, and all the commentators and players stopped anyway. That's just one that ends up in a goal. I think it's more the free kicks that count. It's never how many in a game for mine or which way it goes. And the differential wasn't great in the game, but the problem is that Brisbane didn't get any, or they got one goal from a free kick that was definitely there. The Bulldogs were plus 16 points. And then when it comes back to a 1 point, that's how supporters do see it. But I didn't think it was a great umpired game. I thought there was 9 howlers in the game, which I don't know if that's high or low in terms
howler count. Might need that. New metric.
How else do you want to put it? And I'd love to, the opportunity one day to sit down with the umpires to understand it from that point of view. And I also think the AFL should come out and actually promote the umpiring bit and give a bit more behind the scenes. I understand they don't want to put the umpires up for press conferences and stuff like that, but I think they should actually make more videos or make the umpires more personable in how they go about their training, the decision making, the studying. I just think
and they are trying to. I think this year COVID's got in the way, but they are. There's definitely a push on to make them sort of more accessible.
Follow the go to ump camp or something like that. I think the fans would benefit that greatly. To know how the umpires actually go about and have an appreciation for what they do and their part in the game. I think then the fans could relax a bit more and say, geez, it is a tough gig to umpire because it is 100%. 360 degrees is very tough. So it's not AFL bashing. It's just the balance of it, I think.
Yeah, so no, it's good. I'll come in here for 1 week and have another 22 off. It's good.
Hopefully we can get OB in next week. But we're giving a fair old pacing, grilling, but fascinating insights from other side of the fence.
He's converted me.
AFL Ops land. So there's always two sides to the story. But speaking of that, Lachie Neale, just in a sentence because we've gone a little bit over there. But I think Lachie Neale requesting a trade, or if he's going to go back to Perth. If you haven't seen your family for a couple of years, given how these premiers are handling the borders, I think fair play to Lachie. He's won a Brownlow. He's got him in the finals. He's done a great job for them there. If he wants to jump out of his contract a little bit early and they can get compensated fairly, I think he's free to go in my eyes. MG, thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think, at the end of the day, a lot of, supporters don't want to see this, but football is a job in essence, and a lot of people move around state to state and country to country with their job. Sometimes it's bigger than football. And he's given great service to the Lions while he was there, and they should facilitate if he wants to move back. I think.
I think now's the right time for both parties. I think Brisbane could get some
currency. He's got currency
adequate
still.
Compensation. But I was looking at the Tim Kelly. He left Geelong to go back to West Coast. 3 first rounders, but then he went back for family reasons, and then 3/4 of the year he spent in a hub in Queensland. So it's hopefully the borders do open. I think that. Look, Lachie Neale's a great player. I think Brisbane play better without him.
Right.
at times. I think he's a bit of a ball hunter. Him and Zorko ball hunt, McCluggage ball hunts. So, look, if you can get, I think, pick 6 and maybe 6 and 14 is probably adequate.
They're certainly not lacking in that area as well.
That's right.
If they do lose Neil, they've got 5 or 6 ready to go.
And he's a bona fide star of the game, Brownlow medalist. But you might be able to get something else in. That might be Tom Mitchell. That might, it's not Luke Parker now because he's re-signed. But there might be someone else out there.
Yeah, it'd be a win-win, I think.
Yeah.
Outstanding stuff. All right, it's going to be a big show. We've got some tennis, US Open. We'll see if Djokovic is the man to beat. We've also got rugby league. All the big guns have won last week. Melbourne won, Penrith won, Manly won, and the Bunnies won. So it's going to be a fascinating week 1 of finals. We'll get top rope up a bit later. But let's get cracking. It's going to be a big show. And let's talk the first prelim final. And we've got the D's at $1.49 against the Cats at Top Sport, $2.70 Geelong, and the line 11.5. It's a sellout crowd, and it's a total of 150.5. Two defensively minded sides here, and my thoughts are with both these prelims is how much petrol in the tank the Cats and the Bulldogs have. Probably more so the Bulldogs. I think they're obviously a bit walking wounded with their players under some clouds. But let's talk about the D's and the Cats. Obviously, Max Gawn, a little bit of the Hall of Famer, kicking that goal after the siren. Maxie Gawn, it was a huge comeback. There'd be some scars for the Cats after having them on the ropes at their home deck, now playing at a neutral ground. And D's are super fresh here. What are your thoughts, MG?
Yeah, no, I think that's points well made. I think it'll be interesting to see how much scar tissue Geelong actually carry from a pretty fresh defeat on their home deck, and Melbourne being fresh. I think this time of the year I want to go with the fresher teams. They've got pretty much 0 injuries. Geelong are carrying some bumps, and I just think there's a few matchups that worry me. I think Max Gawn in the ruck against Stanley. Stanley's going to have to play one out of his skin just to compete with Max Gawn. He's got virtually 0 chance unless he actually goes the man to beat Gawn, in my opinion. And if Gawn dominates, Melbourne will not let Geelong have the kind of start to have to reel him back in. On a neutral ground, I think suits Melbourne in terms of a fast deck. Geelong need to get their hands on the ball early, and Melbourne, I think it actually helps them that their comeback win, that they saw what Geelong are capable for. So I think they'll come out in the first quarter and really try and shut that down early and make sure they're at least with or in front, but at least with Geelong at quarter time, and just deny them the ball. I think it's really contrasting styles for me, this game.
It's interesting. There's a fair bit of rain today, but there's pretty clear weather for the rest of the weekend in Perth. What are your thoughts with the D's and the Cats?
I like the Cats.
Wow, OB.
Yeah, I like the Cats.
OB.
I think down there at Geelong, they got 44 points up. Yep. Okay, they lost, but they got 44 points up. So they've done something right. I thought they took the foot off the pedal in the second half. Isaac Smith was sort of laughing halfway through that last quarter. Probably not a great look. I think it's great ammo for Chris Scott. And I just think they match up really well. I think Rabbitohs has to play.
Yep.
Has to play. Didn't play last time. So then, Petty goes to Cameron. May and Hawkins, Rabbitohs then ties up Lever. Gary Rowan, he's a bit of a finals cat, but I just think last week he clunked a couple and might have got a little bit of mojo back. He either gets Rivers or probably Hibbard.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, a lot of their prime ball movers from the back half are sort of occupied.
Yep.
I just think it's a great. I'm really looking forward to this game. I like Melbourne. They're quick. They're fit. But I just think there's something about the Cats. They know what to do. Dangerfield is a bit banged up, possibly, but I just think that great midfield matchup. Selwood on Oliver, Dangerfield, Petrarca, Smith and Langdon, Duncan and Brayshaw. I reckon it's a cracker and can't wait.
Selwood go to Oliver again.
I think so. Yep. I think what they did in sort of that first half down there at Geelong. Stanley had his best game for the year. It's probably the last quarter that Max got on top. Yep. Selwood went to Oliver and did a reasonable job. And then Duncan didn't play. Rabbitohs didn't play. Jack Henry I think is a really good defender. So they sort of tie up that end. I think there's matchups all over the ground that are really mouth-watering.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be a cracking game, and can't wait.
It's a bit like what we spoke about earlier with the Brisbane Bulldogs, the contrasting styles. When Brisbane were on and they had the fast-moving pace, they dominated the game. When the Bulldogs were able to pull that back and get control, they dominated as well. And I think this game is very much the same. If Melbourne can control their back 50, which they've been able to do all year, and get on the outside and be able to run on a fast deck, then Geelong, statistically wise this year, will not be able to keep up with Melbourne. If Geelong are able, by contrast, to control the ball, slow it down, win the uncontested ball, and their forwards can at least break even or stand up. And this is not an easy matchup. Melbourne won't dominate Geelong's forwards. They've got too many good players. Jeremy Cameron's an absolute star. But if Geelong can control the flow of the game, they will be in it for long enough, and they love to strangle sides. And Geelong's game plan, I have no doubt, is to stick with Melbourne at all stages during the game and keep it as late as possible and make Melbourne almost shit the bed.
Yeah.
Because Melbourne will get stage fright, and that's the thing that worries me about Melbourne. I think, I'm a bit different from OB. I just think the matchups, I think Gawn is too much for them, and if Melbourne's midfield get control of it, and then they win on the outside with blokes like Langdon, I think they will get enough opportunity. But the mental space for me is Melbourne is their biggest worry.
Well, last time they were in a prelim over Optus, though, it was over halfway through the second quarter.
West Coast, so it's right. And the thing is about Geelong, they'll be conditioned to that. When you talk about Adam Scott gearing up, he'll want to be in Melbourne's face. This is going to war to make a grand final. Yeah. So he'll have his charges ready to go, and he'll have blokes like Isaac Smith really yapping at Melbourne, 100%.
Absolutely.
Especially if they get on top early, it's like, here we go again. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like,
yeah. My worry is I just hope they don't bring Sean Higgins back in for Parfitt. I think they might. But
he sounds like he's in.
I think so. But look, I think Higgins is the perfect sub.
Yeah.
Just because he gives that experience on the bench. But I just think they might just be a little bit slow if they brought him in. I'm a bit of a Simpson fan, Sam Simpson.
Yep.
So hopefully they can. Hopefully he plays. But it's sounding like Higgins. They might just be a little bit slow in their front half when the ball hits the ground.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah.
I think Melbourne are lucky here. They've the rain's going to hit tonight in Perth, and it's 10 to 15 mil. That's a lot of rain, and that would have played into the hands of the Cats big time. I think surely the surface over at Perth dries out enormous, and I think the fast deck is going to undo the Cats here. As confident as I was that Geelong were going to dismantle GWS last time, I think the Ds, provided that rain doesn't do funny things. Sometimes Perth can throw out some funny weather, so if there's a second band of rain, that brings the Cats into it for mine, but I couldn't be more confident about the Ds. I think they've found that belief. I was a little bit worried about Petrarca and the tears after the game when they were down at the Cattery, but I love the way they went about it against the Lions in the to get here to the prelim. I think the D's are the real deal, and I think that was the belief that they needed to beat the Cats down at the home dunghill. And they probably wouldn't have come back if there was a crowd. So it'll be fascinating first quarter. We're gonna know pretty much straight away here with this one. It's going to be mouth-watering. I'm sort of getting goosebumps thinking about this match. It's going to be an absolute corker. All right, Saturday night, let's have a look at the other match. It's not quite as appealing with the Bulldogs not quite fully fit, but 20 to 8 here at Adelaide Oval. 141 the power, $3 Western Bulldogs, and 14.5 the line here. Some money for the minus already. 155.5 the total. MG. I look at that total and I think I want to be on the over unless it's that Perth weather shifting across from Adelaide.
Yeah, there is a chance. The total's actually moved down from 157 to 155. So for over punters, I think you can just hold your horses for a bit. And if you're on the unders, you probably want to go earlier rather than later. I think this game's got more potential for points in it than the first one. I think for Geelong to win the first game, the total will have to be low. Whereas I think the Bulldogs will have to try and match Port in this game. I think the thing that worries me about the Bulldogs is a few things. Port being at home, this will be a sellout as well, I assume, and this crowd can get loud. And they've also had 2 weeks wait the build up in Adelaide for this. Port have got fuller running, week off, limited injuries, and their record at home's been pretty good this year. The thing of the Bulldogs that worries me is they've covered the whole country of late, and I just, I can't come to sides like the same with GWS coming off the win against Sydney and then having to back up again the final. That's why we thought Geelong were the good things last week. I'm just going to continue that on. I think I think the Bulldogs, the emotion and everything that comes out of that game in Brisbane, and to win with the travelling that they've got to do to go to Port, I just think it's going to be too much.
But Bont on one leg, big worry, OB.
I don't think he plays.
Don't even think he'll play.
I think you got to sort of you've got to think you're going to win. So if they win, that's 3 weeks off for a grand final. But if he plays and they win, well, what damage does it do? He's probably going to push through and play. But
I like that. I like your theory there. I'd be gambling on to rest him, and then you've got him fresh for the grand final, because everyone's trying to win a grand final.
That's
here,
right.
And I think that's the best way to look at it. You got to try and win get through without him. And sort of go in and roll the dice for a grand final because you can't win the grand final with him busted up 2 games in a row.
That's right. And if it's bone bruising, you lack that power and explosiveness.
Good angle.
I'm not so sure. I think
you just jab until.
Well,
you can't jab a bone.
No, you can't. Yeah, that's true.
No, all like painkillers.
I would say if he's around the 50-50 mark or something like that, I go with him and risk him and play him forward and try something different and play him actually out of the square. I'm of the belief that I understand what you guys are saying, and I'm not disagreeing with it, but you can't win a grand final from the sidelines. So if you're not there, you can't win it. And the Bulldogs being the outsider, going into a tough environment, he is your captain, he is your leader. The psychological blow of pre-post going in without the Bont is too much scarring for the Bulldogs to overcome. They need Bont to go in, and even if you're losing, I understand the downside, but I think if he's a bit ginger or whatever, I roll the dice forward.
Okay, it's a good point you make. Yeah, you can't win it if you're not there. Steph Martin definitely plays.
Really?
Yeah, he definitely plays. Yep. They trained on the weekend in Launceston before they flew out. Got through the session. I think if you look at it, Lewis Young played 53% of game time. Yep. Can Steph Martin cover that? I think so. So, Steph Martin might be able to get 65% game time, you'd think, possibly. It allows English forward. Then it changes the forward structure. Yep. Then the battle of the mosquito fleet sort of comes into it. I think it's Anthony Scott or Johannesson come in for Waitman. And then, I don't think Georgiades plays, even if he got through the sandful on the weekend. But I just think with Dixon, Marshall and Laddams, that works best. Yep. You can't go too top-heavy. So Rosie's sort of that in between, sort of the 6'1", forward. So, look, it's the battle of midfield depth. I think I like Treloar, most disposals. I think he'll come out, although Jackson McRae, he is severely underrated, this guy. He's a serious footballer. Yeah, but I think the power will be too strong here.
Yeah, I think that's the other option. I think with Bont, even if he wasn't injured, I'd almost start him forward anyway and throw Treloar in as well for that. I mean, the Treloar didn't work as a half forward to have him out of the square. Put him in the middle, and the Bont can at least take marks, whether he kicks straight, but he had 3 or 4 set shots on goal against the Brisbane. I know he missed a few.
Yeah, 0-3.
He's usually clutch.
Yeah.
But it's a tough matchup. And, even if he basically can
nullify,
he can make Alliassime accountable, something like that, really throw Port's plans out at least early and just see what happens. And if you're getting beaten in the midfield and the Bont's right to go, then you throw him in.
Well, and that's the thing, because then Alliassime will have to go to English if Martin plays, English or Norton, and then you've got Jonas down there. Jonas will have to go to Bontempelli, and then you've got McKenzie that's going to play undersized again.
Yes.
It does sort of expose him a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at the premiership market with Top Sport. D's $2.60, $3 the Power, Cats $5.50, $6 Western Bulldogs. All right, so we've just previewed the games. Who would you be backing now, gun to your head, to win the flag? I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe I'm saying that Port Adelaide. I can't believe it's $3. They're just sitting there at $3, and they're the form side of the competition. I'm completely shocked, but at the same time, the D's and Port, there's 2 sides. It's been a blanket field for the whole season, and both of these sides are in the right form at the right time, and they're the fittest and healthiest. So I think that says a lot about the betting market. And gun to my head, I'd probably have to back the D's at $2.60.
These have been the 4 form sides all year. So Bulldogs have been first or second. They, final 3 weeks of the year, they dropped out of the top 4. So these are the 4 best sides.
Yeah. 4 best defences as well.
Okay, and then I like Port. Yeah, if the grand final was at the MCG, 100% it's Melbourne. You can't. They'll be queuing up for days to get into the MCC.
But you wouldn't be allowed to do that in this era.
Well, that's right. Yeah, the ball ring would be pumping. But I like Port over there. I really do. They're
MG?
quick.
Yeah, I think right now with those odds, I think I could. I want to back Melbourne, but I just think they've still got the shit the bed kind of thing that worries me if I'm investing. Port don't have that, and I think if you like both Geelong or Bulldogs, you're just better to back them in the all up. Being outsiders for mine, so yeah. If I was having $100 on something, I'm going Port right now.
Outstanding. We won't talk about the Brownlow too much. The stream bank is absolutely airborne at the moment, so we're over 20k. It's Sunday week. They've pushed it forward. Who's your fancy for the Brownlow?
Look, Wines and Bontempelli, Oliver, everyone's talking about them. Look, I love Jack Steele to win it.
Saints man.
Yeah, lovely fellow Jack. I just think he starts off the year too slowly for mine. But the big one's always been sort of like the top 5 betting. I think that there's always someone that sort of comes in from outside. So I sort of like a Luke Parker, Jackson McRae, Tom Mitchell type.
Yep. Smoky.
Just someone just to push in. There's always one or two that sort of that push up that you aren't expecting.
Yeah, I think Tom Mitchell's definitely one of those that could run close to the top 5 for sure. But yeah, this will be a count. Good to see Top Sports now, and the bookies will probably follow Scooty, that they've started to really crunch down on the percentage as well. I've noticed that Wines now is north of $3. They've pushed the Bont back out to 4. Oliver's beyond 4. So they've really cut out a few of the percentage, and all of a sudden away from the top 4 or 5 now, they're starting to get out of the odds that they can't win.
Price.
So they're more of a realistic price. So yeah, with only what have we got, a week and a half left of betting, now's the time to check out all the markets and get involved.
Yeah, Little Birdie Pod, Brownlow 2021, if you want to jump on the stream. So it's going to be 3.5 hours of live betting. We're going to preview every single round. So Mark's priced up every match and who's going to get the votes. So we'll zip through. We'll make the 3.5 hours more exciting than G. McLaughlin just reading out 3 votes and Bontempelli. So hopefully we've got some entertainment there for you, and we can steer you into a winner or two. But if you want Mark to steer the betting bank for you, it's 50 or 1,000 you can deposit. And there's a little 2-minute video with myself on how to join the stream, so make sure you check that out. It's going to be a fascinating prelim finals week. Can't wait. It's so exciting, and hopefully the D's can finally break through. It's the story that everyone wants, and Port Adelaide would be well deserving to make it there. All teams have done a great job, so it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out. We'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll talk Rugby League and Hall of Fame with Top Rope Tedeschi next. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG and OB in studio. That sounds good, doesn't it, when you say that? It's time to talk Rugby League and Hall of Fame with our favourite, our MVP, Top Rope Tedeschi. How are you, brother?
I'm up and about, boys. I'm up and about. It's footy finals time. The NFL is here. Yeah, Ryder Cup's just around the corner. How could you not be happy?
It's going to be great. Tom Brady versus the Dallas Cowboys. Brady Does Dallas is our NFL show, so make sure you check that out on the YouTube channel or Apple, Spotify. What's funny?
Brady Does Dallas. I've heard it all.
You know what? Everyone's saying that Melbourne's got the biggest lockdown in the world, but the real crime, Top Rope, is it's Kittens. Kittens has been shut now for 56 days in a row. That's criminal.
What's Kittens?
Oh, please, it's your second home. Okay, let's talk Hall of Fame.
If there's one business that's going to bounce back, I think it'll be fine.
If they did incentives around getting the vaccine and going to Kittens, I tell you what, there'd be a line from here to Mornington to get the jab, and I'd be probably front and centre of that queue. Now, let's talk Hall of Fame this week. Cam Munster, he's a big Kittens man, and he's been in the Hall of Fame. Matt Frawley was in last week. Maxi gone. He sunk the Cats after the siren. Justin Pascoe for West. That doco, haunting really if you're a West Tigers fan. Barosha, Ollie, Anthony Jupp when he roared the NFL anthem, fly over. Rang up,
story.
pretending to be the BBC. Yeah, they're all in there. They're all in the Hall of Fame. OB, he'll get in there one day. I don't know what he'll do for the punt, but I'm sure there's something. MG, have you got a nomination this week? I've got a couple the other way. I've had a rough week on the punt, a couple of horror rides, a couple of sick beats, a couple of seconds. John McNeil got me yesterday at Sandown. The list goes on. What have you got this week, Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I know it's going to be tough to beat. It's a hot field this week, but I've found Top Rope a catering manager for our Hall of Fame party at the end of the year. So, Nadia Bartel.
Oh, she'd be a chance. She'd be great fun. I wasn't much of a Nadia Bartel fan. But I think she's starting to elevate. I didn't like the way she should have just owned it. What do you reckon, OB?
Absolutely, should have just come out and said, "I've done it." I think the winner out of that was the Kmart crockery.
sold off the shelf.
When do you get the good crockery out? That's the question.
Well, they're microwavable, so it's pretty good value at $1.50. Top Row, what have you got? Are we just talking dribble here, or have you got something from the wreck? You're up and about.
No, look, it was just good that Nardi it's pretty good for a personal brand because absolutely nobody had heard of it north of the Murray. So, good luck to her. Good luck to her. Don't know what a link is to sport, but good luck to her. There's nothing like you could have nominated. You could have won $10 million on the punt this week, Scooty, and you still weren't getting in. The end of the Manly Cowboys game was something truly to behold as either the sickest beat of all time or the greatest backdoor cover of all time, pending position, of course. I was lucky enough to be on the minus, so that didn't hurt my position. But Manly minus 24.5 last week against the Cowboys, led by 6 with 12 minutes to go. The game was over. Like you couldn't win your bet. Absolutely no chance. Score 4 tries in the last 12 minutes, including what has to be the most obscene try when a game is over of all time. Like, the only explanation is that Manly have backed themselves, or they at least knew what the line was and they wanted to do right. Up by 22 with 30 seconds to play. The Cowboys kick the ball, almost goes dead, sits on point. Ruben Garrett, the Manly forward, picks it up. Now, he could have stepped over the dead ball line and the 45 seconds got to do the dropout, game over. He runs sideways 20 metres in goal to escape the chase, zigzags back, runs about 40 metres, throws a massive cutout ball to Daly Cherry, who's somehow standing in the wing. Tom Trebojevic at this stage is shaking hands with the Cowboys players. Good game, fellas. Well played. Cherry takes off down the sideline, beats the winger, comes in, does an obscene grubber kick inside. It's finally clicked with Turbo what's going on. Turbo's there, picks it up, avoids the tackle, scores the try. Manly cover. How was it? It was the wildest gambling finish to any sporting event I could ever remember. It was obscene.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
The Manly Seagulls.
The whole team goes in.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Evans
that'd be his best ever. That's probably the best thing he's ever done ever. Daly Cherry Evans.
Top rope. The only reason Cherry Evans said he was on the wing is he was on the way to the showers. He'd already shaken hands.
They were all shaking hands at halfway. If you're on the Cowboys plus 23, plus 24.5, you just find the nearest window, are you? Like, I saw one tweet. I don't know how well you guys know Sydney, but the Gap's a pretty famous place, and they said the lineup through Watson's Bay to get to the Gap was large.
Yeah, we got the Westgate.
For the plus.
Yeah,
we got the Westgate or the Balti.
Harvey Norman.
You can bounce off the Balti though.
Harvey Norman shares went up because the amount of TVs it was smashed as well.
Unbelievable.
Had to be replaced for the plus punters.
Yeah, it's good when you're on one that way. But Manly Seagulls, they've done us plenty of favours thanks to Tommy Turbo. It's just absolutely airborne. The Turbo brothers, 4 tries between
He's
them.
unbelievable.
3 to Tommy Turbo. Is he the greatest player ever, OB? There's Cam Smith.
Cam Smith doesn't rate. There's probably Andrew Johns, Darren Lockyer.
Goes okay.
Yeah, they go all right. But
Tommy Turbo, is he new grouse?
Is he ever?
Is he?
This season's got to be up there with one of the
best ever seasons.
Best
The new game. It's a new game though, so it doesn't count, does it?
What I sort of have to hold back a little bit. They're talking about the greatest seasons ever. And talking about Turbo. Then they talk about Ben Barber, who's fallen off the face of the earth. Jared Hayne, wouldn't have thought so. He's not competing much in that regard.
Tommy Turbo's going to the dark side. That's the forecast over.
God, that'd be awful fallout.
He was part of the Sydney Swans Academy back in the day as well. So one that got away from the AFL. Yep.
Wow.
Coached by Paul Roos.
He probably could have won a Brownlow too. He's that good.
Top Rope doesn't even know how to spell AFL.
What's a
brown?
What's a brown one?
Oh, all right, Fox and Munster. Are they going to play? That's the news. That's all that really matters. We're obviously big Melbourne Storm fans. We're about the minus nearly every week. They're a staple for us, the mighty Storm. What's going on with Fox and Munster? Top Rope.
Well, what's going on with you nearly every week? You mean every week, Scooty? We backed them every week. It's Fox is out. Fox won't play. Munster will be given till today, Thursday, to prove his fitness, but he is highly likely to play. So I expect Munster will play. and Fox not going to play.
All right, let's have a look at the NRL Premiership market. And the Storm have got the Warbles over at Top Sport. Tristan started to loosen them up, which gets me a little bit nervous. 220 out to 240, the Storm. Panthers now 260, who are running pretty hot at the moment. Manly Sea Eagles $6. The Boonwars, my team, an OB's team, $10. Parramatta, soft underbelly, $21. The Roosters, $34. The Titans, $81. And Newcastle Knights, making up the numbers, $81. Top rope, are you worried about the Melbourne Storm? They've been a little bit chinky for the last couple of weeks. Have they got a switch that's just going to be pushed here? They look pretty chilled out at Double Island on the beach through the week. I tell you what, Bellamy, he looks after him.
I get the feeling Tristan hates Cash if he's winding the Storm out. Please. That's excellent, though. No, I'm not worried. I was probably a little concerned going into last week. With a pretty weak inside, we saw the Pap back, and that was the key. Sound the alarm, the Pap is back. Great game, 3 tries. The big worry was that the long-term future of the Storm is Ryan Pappenhausen. And if he was lacking confidence, wasn't going to play well, it was going to be a massive call for Craig Bellamy to drop him. It would have caused all kinds of kind of ructions in the playing group. I would have thought if Nico Hines had then come in. I think he's done the right thing here. Pappenhausen has made the decision really easy for him. Key for the Storm is, though, which we haven't seen a lot of over the last 6 weeks. They're big middles. Tui Kamakamika, Nelson Asofa-Solomona, Dale Finnecane really lead the way in kind of laying the platform for the Storm. They're all back this week. Brandon Smith does so well at the back of those guys, and then Harry Grant when he comes on just really creates space for the backs. Look, there's a bit of a risk out wide, like some of the defence on the edges is concerning, but I'm not worried at all about the Storm this week. I think the Storm are going to cruise to the premiership this year. To be honest, I think the switch has well and truly been flicked, and I think I don't know how they're not odds on right now.
Well, I just love his confidence. Just gets me up and about. And Friday night, that's when everyone will be up and about. We've got Sunshine Coast Stadium, beautiful place of the world. Melbourne Storm $1.38 according to topsport.com.au, and the Sea Eagles $3.15, 8.5 the line. A little bit of money for the plus, and the total there is 44.5. I tell you what, the $1.38, it'll be going in my lock of the week, so hold on to your hats. It's definitely going to be the way I'll play. But Top Rope, how are you playing here? You going to take the minus, or are you going to wait for the money to come for Manly and then just go the other way? Rope-a-dope.
I will back the minus now, and then when it moves to 7.5, I'll just have to double down and go again. I'm not convinced about Manly's form over the last few weeks. Everyone is smitten about them smacking up on bad teams, but they struggled against Canterbury 2 weeks ago. Last place Canterbury, 3-win Canterbury. Look, an intercept try made the final margin 18, but that was a one-score game for a long, long time. Cowboys, second last, so worst defence in the competition. That margin was 6 points with 12 minutes to go. I'm not sure they're going that well, to be honest, Manly. So I think Melbourne do this. I wouldn't say they're going to do it in a rout, but I think they're going to cover the line. I think they'll do it relatively easily. I think, from a firepower point of view, they've both probably got it, but Manly aren't really proven against any of the top teams this year. So I'll happily take the minus here and see how we go.
I tell you what, MG will just be into the anytime try scorer markets. You'll be all over your man, Pap, and then Tommy Turbo. I'll be probably hand in hand with you there. I'll be roaring.
What do you think of Go multi there, kid? Can you fit 17 try scorers and under it?
He's going to back the over. Looks pretty simple, 44.5. Storm will do 40 by themselves.
OB, any insight there? You're a big rugby league man.
Yeah, I am. I'm not a big Storm fan.
Geez, you've had a rough year.
So I'd like Manly to win, but yeah, look, I love Turbo, and that's about it. Hopefully we just get through Justin Olam. Can't defend, but can score. So yeah, watch it with interest.
Oh Jesus! I tell you what, OB.
He's padding up on the Friday night. Interesting.
Anyway, lucky we had him in the paddock for so long. I don't know if I would have copped this all year.
I don't like Storm. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. I think the $1.38 is a gift there, the Melbourne Storm, so they'll be going in my lock of the week, and I've already started backing them anyway. It looks like an absolute gift. Let's have a look at Saturday afternoon at 5:35. Beautiful time slot here, just after the GGs here. The Roosters $1.25, the Titans $4.10. The line here 11.5 and 46.5 the total here. The Chooks, surely that goes in the multi there too at $1.25 top rope.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes in the multi. You can back them -10.5, can back them 13 plus, can back them extended lines. I think it could be a straight up smash job here, the Chooks. Early in the week, I was a little probably a little more reserved on this one. Kind of like the Roosters. The more the week's worn on, the more I can kind of see this being a pretty convincing Roosters win, a kind of last stand, if you will, for a team that's really battled injury and retirement all year and have done a remarkable job to get where they are. Where I see the problem for the Titans is, look, they haven't beaten the top 8 side in 2 years. They are a team that beats up on teams below them and is panels off the teams above them. They've got some pretty hard runners, the Roosters. Victor Radley's back, but they've got Crichton and Sotila Tupanua on the edges. They're on that outside in-line that is really damaging against even good defenders. The halves and the centres for the Titans, all very, very poor defenders. So I think this could be a concern for them. Fafita has been their big weapon. He's not been coming on until kind of half an hour in the game. They could be down 18-24 by the time he gets on. So I think the Roosters win this. And I quite like the over in this one too.
Wow, it's a bit of a surprise. They looked okay last week. Gold Coast Titans. Jaden Campbell, he's absolutely flying. They look like put points on. What about the total? Are we just going to sail over here? It'll just be a game of no tackles. The game that PVL has now created.
PVL's done a wonderful job with rugby league, as we all know. And I expect that. I like the over in this one. I do think there'll be some points in it. I think most of it will come from the Roosters. It's very easy to put 44 points on a team that's not trying, and that's exactly what happened last week. The Warriors had well and truly given up the ghost, and they were down to 10 players at one stage on the field. So, I don't have a lot of I don't put a lot of stock into that. The Titans had to get into a job. They did it. Good luck to them. But I don't think it holds any weight going into this week. Both teams pretty loose defensively at the moment. Roosters usually under team in the finals, but they're playing almost a second string side here. They've been conceding 20 plus regularly, but they're also piling up the points of Chooks. So I'd say the Roosters get to 30 here. Can the Titans get to kind of 12, 16? Probably. So I'll be on the over.
You'll be on the over.
Add it to your lock. Your multi's become the same game multi.
I don't like totals.
You've got 15 legs and there's only 4 games.
OB, Roos, Chooks easy? Easy.
Oh, jeez.
I think the 7 and 8 are just making up the numbers.
Oh, okay. All in for the Chookies there. All right, Saturday night, 7:35. This is a clash game. I don't like the time slot here. I don't know why they just don't play nice. I want to see all of it. I want to see all the games.
What's it clashing with?
AFL. I'm gonna have to be in here. I'm gonna have to be in the office. Good excuse to come in the office. Working.
That's why you got 2 TVs.
Yeah, I need lots of TVs. All right, Saturday night, 7:35 at Queensland Country Bank Stadium, Townsville. So nice little double header there. Penrith Panthers 123, the Rabbits 440, 11.5, 185 the minus there. This is scary territory for the Boonwars. 44.5 the total there. No Latrell. It's it's not going to be straight sets, is it? Top rope, straight out.
Before we get to this game, did you hear the quote from Andrew Abbo throughout the week about the clash with the AFL Grand Final? And is that next week, the AFL Grand Final?
No,
couple of weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It's clash against a preliminary final for the rugby league. And Andrew Abbo goes, would you consider moving it? And he said, we don't cave to anybody. How good's the PVL era of rugby league?
Oh.
He's not moving it for anybody. Tremendous work, PVL. Tremendous work, Andrew Abbo.
It's only going to cost you a couple of million eyeballs, but as you were,
don't move it if you don't want anyone watching it.
Hopefully they don't have Stomr playing. That'll be a clash.
Look, I eagerly look forward to seeing the most watched list at the end of the year and the NRL Grand Final uncompeted with clearing out again.
Because AFL's finished.
I
Getting
think
up against postcards.
And Stomr will be in the grand final. That's why he got so many eyeballs.
Don't be like that, MG. Don't be like that.
All right, why are Penrith going to win this one?
Because there's no Latrell. Penrith are going well. Health's a big issue. I think South will change it to the team. I don't think South will go bang bang, but I think they're they're not going to be happy to concede this one, but I don't think they give themselves much chance of winning this one, to be honest. So I think they give themselves probably more chance of rolling the Storm in a prelim than they do winning this week. So I just don't see how South score in this game. South win on the back of posting 30, 34 points. Penrith win by kind of stifling teams. South were kept to 12 last time. I just don't see how they score enough points, especially without Latrell on the field. I think this is going to be fairly one-way traffic. I think it's an unders game, but I think this is like a 30-0, 30-6 kind of win for the Panthers.
Last time these two sides played, my private chat group blew up like a Christmas tree. And I think the refereeing was a bit average that night. Is this true, OB? You're nodding, a lot of noddies.
Yeah, very average that night. The Bunnies were all over him in the first half and just couldn't get through them. So the defence of Penrith is enormous. But I've got from inside the camp this week, the Bunnies are all in. They're fresh. They're no needles. They're ready to go. So take that as you will, but I'm on the Bunnies.
Non-vaxxed. No vaccine. I think the plus is starting to... If the money keeps running for Penrith Panthers, the plus looks enticing. Once you get that key number 12 running for you, I think that'd be the go, top rope. Especially if you're tipping the unders. Come on, give a little... Well, we're bunnies in here. You need to give us some hope. And money.
I just don't think there's much hope. I'd much rather see South win. On OB's point before, Grant Atkins, who was the referee that night, a Penrith, a life member of the Penrith Junior Rugby League Hall of Fame there. So... probably zero surprises where how that game was officiated. I would love to see South win. As the listeners know, we're on South pre-season to win it all. It would be very handy to have a South Melbourne grand final. So I'll be cheering the Bunnies on, but I'd really, in current form, I just don't know where the points are coming from. If they're going to win this one, they're going to have to win a grinder, and South really aren't used to winning grinders. So we'll see. But I'm definitely towards the minus. Even at I'd probably be reluctant to take minus 12.5, but if it was flat 12, I'd still be on the minus.
Okay, let's go for the under 44.5 and cheer for a boil over. Okay, Sunday at Rockhampton at Brown Park, Brown with an E. Parramatta Eels $1.39 and the Knights are $3.10. The line a flat 8 money for the Knights, surprisingly, and 45.5 is the total there. Top rope. How do you see this playing out? Some chance, Knights?
Just on Rockhampton. Any chance the groundskeeper up there could actually just have a word and actually use just one lot of grass? It's like a cow paddock up there. If I know MG's a big grass man. Bit of buffalo, just can someone mow the lawn and get a flat
one
track,
seed,
please? Someone's got to do an ankle. No, I don't give the Knights much chance at all. To be honest, I'm not a huge rap on Parramatta this year, but Parramatta put bad teams to the sword. The Knights were in the finals for one reason and one reason only. They were the beneficiaries of an extraordinarily soft draw. They played just 9 matches against top 8 sides this year. So it was... They have the second worst... The only team they scored more points than this year was the Canterbury Bulldogs. And their 9 games against top 8 sides, they've averaged 9.44 points a game this year. So Parramatta can score points, against bad teams. I think the daytime suits the Eels. I think the Eels win pretty comfortably. I just think this Ponga-Pearce combination is pretty overrated at the moment. Like, stats aren't really bearing it. They're a much better side this year with them on the park without them. So I'm happy to kind of pop the Knights here. And they kind of fell into the finals last year in a pretty similar vein. Got absolutely annihilated by South in that semi. So I can kind of see something similar here for the Eels.
OB?
Parramatta, they've beaten the Storm twice this year. Only team to do it, so that's handy for them. But, Newcastle just look horrendous. Parramatta all the way for me.
All right, let's go to our... that's a wrap for the rugby league. So watch and see how the Storm just turn the switch this week. I think Bellamy will have them absolutely firing. The boys look super relaxed looking at Harry Grant's Instagram page. Don't ask me why I follow that, but I've seen it and I can't unsee it either. But let's talk lock of the week. I've been making a meal of it, and thanks to John Allen piloting Wisdom of Water last week. He gave that horse absolutely none. Make sure you put that in your black book. Wisdom of Water at the Valley. The Inferno was the horse that won the race, but this horse has got a run in it, and make sure it's over 1,000 or 1,100 metres. Don't laugh at me like that, top rope. I've done my absolute kyber, and then I backed up on...
It was a fair run by the Inferno, though, to be fair.
Oh, he's going to be very hard to beat next start. I don't know if he's Everest material, but he's definitely in the mix there. But let's find some winners for Lock of the Week. This is for raise.org.au. I don't know if you've got a Lock of the Week this week, OB, but you can have a couple of minutes to try and find a moral. So it's $200 each for charity. We've already got 10 in the bank. Feels like a long time ago, the Warrnambool Carnival. So let's try and rally for that 5K. I might lead us off this week. I'm full of confidence. I'm prepared. I've been in ISO. I've been doing absolute
we got?
sweet FA. Yeah, a lot.
A lot
of leagues because we've got to get to the 5K.
Yeah, right.
And I got a couple of requests from a couple of listeners of the show. Ooh. They want me to add a team that's playing against their team because they know I'm the kiss of death.
Okay.
so I've obliged. Astute. I've obliged. So you know who are out there, but I'll definitely put Port Adelaide in against your Western Bulldogs. So here we go. So Melbourne Storm, I'm going to take the $1.38. That's theft. Sadly, I'm going to put in Penrith to beat South Sydney. Don't look at me like that, OB. $1.23. The D's and the power. As I said before, I think Melbourne and Port will be too fresh for the guys that have done it the hard way in Geelong and Western Bulldogs. And then I think Ayrton in the roll the dice colours will be getting the chocolates in race 5 at Flemington. So that takes me at the magical $6 mark. So $200, $1,200 rock and roll. I'm still alive to get to the 5K. So what are you going to do, MG? 2-legger, even money? We've got only a couple of shows to go. So you actually need to try and get to $5,000. You can't just...
Well, I'm in the finals. I've only got 2 matches to play with, so it's making it a bit hard.
You've got to hit it past the women's tee. Come on.
I'm going to throw in a guy that's going for the Grand Slam in tennis. I'm going to go a bit out wide. So I'm just going to add it to bolster it. So I'm going to throw in Djokovic. I can't believe he's out to $1.90 top rope. Write this down, that he's out to $1.90 to win the US Open. So I'm going to throw that in, and I just think
go away, top rope. I saw that.
I think the two favourites in the AFL at the line, Melbourne minus 11.5, Port minus 14.5. So I'm going to have that treble.
What price?
360.
360.
Yeah, no.
$4.
Hey?
Hey? I don't know. I haven't written them down.
No.
What prices? I don't know. It's your bet.
What are we about? 550 something.
550.
Like
550. 200 at 550. So that'll get you over the $1,000 mark. All right, top rope.
Sorry, just...
Oh, you were writing down kids' tips.
Maybe I missed the rules meeting here. Are we allowed just to throw in any sport we want here?
Yeah, it's getting desperate. Desperate times, desperate measures.
Nico wants me to have a crack, and I've only got 2 matches. I'm not sure where it's
No, that's fair enough. I'm happy to permit it.
Oh, great.
I tell you what,
I was going to try and grind my way there at rugby league, but I'm just going to start throwing darts at golf.
I'll tell you what, Novak hasn't had the jab, so technically he could catch COVID and get dismissed and not be able to play.
Money back there.
More susceptible.
Couldn't have into a better bloke.
Yo, don't like him.
Can't stand him.
Oh, well, there you go. Controversial. Hates Storm, hates Novak.
I don't know him. I just want to keep investing him until he loses, and I've been doing that for a couple of years now. So I don't know. I just can't believe he's out to $1.90.
Yeah, it does seem big odds. Top rope.
Okay, just at about $16, we've got a little 5-leg multi here, just to really get up. All the favourites in the league: Melbourne, Roosters, Penrith, Para, into Robert Big Bob McIntyre, top 10 finish at the BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth in the UK on the European Tour this week. He'll go good, Big Bob. He's all loose. He's qualified for the PGA Tour next year. His profile's very nicely for this. So top 10 finish there, being a bit conservative, but this will give us a nice little crack for someone next week.
God, it frightens me how much money Top Rope's got on the table each week. NFL, Tokyo Games, Paralympics. Fuck, he's just so versatile, our man. I don't know how you have time to sleep. You must be a vampire.
He has breakfast with his bookie.
Mate, crazy.
That's how good a mates he is.
You got a lock of the week?
That's how good a client I am, you mean, MG. He's shouting.
I'll put my 200 with Top Rope. I'm a big fan.
Get to follow him in.
Yeah, I'll follow him in.
We're going to double up.
Yes.
Big Bob. I like the name.
Here we go. Can we get this bloke on the podcast every week? It's nice to get a bit of support every now and then.
Outstanding stuff. All right, Top Rope, we're going to let you go. I hear you've got a tea time, so absolutely go fuck yourself. And we don't even know what golf is down here in Melbourne, but I'm sure you're going to hit the lights out of them or something like that.
Lockdown's pretty tough. I pray for everyone out there in lockdown, and it'll be a tough 4 hours out there, but we'll do all right.
Sensational stuff. All right, that's a wrap from us. Good luck on the punt this weekend, Nick Tedeschi, and it's going to be fantastic. Rugby League, week 1 of NRL finals. I think they're going to run really, really straight, and hopefully Tristan just absolutely cops it. But the Rugby League, it's been a happy hunting ground for punters over the season, but the AFL, it's been an absolute gold mine for Tristan. So hopefully every favourite just absolutely walks in. I know lots of blokes that'll just be pumping all 6 favourites in multis, and I'm probably one of them. Guilty. All right, we'll take a quick break. If you're betting this weekend, make sure you jam topsport.com.au, and we'll talk to Ace about the US Open. Let's see if Novak's a good thing at $1.90. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got OB and MG in studio now. It's time to talk tennis and who other but Ace. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks. How's things in there, guys?
Mate, good to be back in studio with the lads. Bit of lad time. Everyone needs that every now and then. But it's all about the US Open. And speaking of a lad, well, MG's just put him in his lock of the week. Novak Djokovic is heading up the market at TopSport. Let's have a look at the odds on screen now for the winner market. He's $1.90 over at Tristan's place, and Medvedev is $3. Zverev, $5. Asalemi is $23, and Matteo Berrettini, $34. Mark said the $1.90, he's going to keep backing him until he gets rolled in one of these big ones. But is he a good thing at the $1.90, and why is he still at that price? It's puzzling.
He's largely at that price mainly because I think at the start of the tournament, when going through and looking at the 2 players that could really beat him, I think in best of 5 in these conditions, the 2 that you'd look at were Alexander Zverev and Daniil Medvedev. And that's looking like, that's going to be the path that he will need to take to get to his 4th Grand Slam for the year. So they're both still in the draw. There's been a couple of upsets along the way, but unfortunately for Novak, Zverev and Medvedev have found their way through. And look, I'm just hopeful, based on Novak being in that sure thing multi, I hope it goes a little better than Nadal at Roland Garros earlier in the year for you, Scoot.
Oh, thanks, mate. I knew you were going to say that. You are good. You just don't forget. But little cap tip there. You did say that Medvedev was going to be the dark horse, and now that makes sense to me. So there'll be Zverev and Medvedev are going to be there when the whips are cracking. So that explains why he's been $1.72 out to $1.90. Mark,
Free money, Scoot.
$1.90. What happens if you get test COVID positive?
As long as you
Big
don't
chance.
jump on him for your history of tennis, we're sweet.
I did say last week that I think his biggest opposition is himself, and I still do think that's the case. If he starts to get a bit nervy thinking about the history that he can make, but it's going to be interesting to see kind of how the crowd warms to him. He's had a pretty easy run now. He's dropped a couple of sets, but he hasn't ever really looked troubled. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles the next couple of days.
I think he's a pretty cool, calm, and collected character. OB, you're a fan of him?
Yeah, no, look, I've never warmed to him. I've always been in the Federer camp, so that's where, but look.
Clean cut.
Yeah, you got to respect him. Very good player.
Yeah.
Very good player.
Yeah, I don't think he's overly liked as a person necessarily. I think he tries too hard and he worries about the crowd and stuff. And even we spoke last week that, a guy's name that the New York crowd were cheering, Djokovic actually thought they were booing him instead of cheering. So
he sort of defaults to everyone's against me.
Yeah, he does. But I think
a lot
that's
of people that operate really well under those circumstances.
I also think that's what drives him. And at the end of the day, I just don't think what he's going for in the history, not only of the Grand Slam, but also to get past Federer and Nadal, which has been his goal. I just don't think he's going to let Medvedev or Zverev
get in his way.
That's just my opinion on it. So
outstanding. All right, let's try and find a winner first, and so we can just keep barreling into Novak into the futures there. So let's have a look at the women's side first. There's a game tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and it's Sabalenka versus Fernandez. Nice easy one for me, Ace. $1.28 Sabalenka, $3.80 Fernandez, 4.5 the line there, and under over games is 20.5. How are we making money out of this little fixture?
It's been an impressive fortnight for Leylah Fernandez. It's been a fantastic run. Just to give a quick recap, I think she was down a set and 5-6 with Naomi Osaka serving earlier in the tournament and managed to come back and win there. She was a set and 4-2 down against Angelique Kerber, came back and won, and then knocked off Alina Svitolina in a third set tiebreak. So it's been an impressive run, but it hasn't been a comfortable run, I guess, in a lot of ways. She did face a couple of big hitters early in the tournament, but that's kind of dropped off a little bit with Kerber and Svitolina the last two. This is a significant step up in power game and general form as well with Arena Sabalenka. My big worry for Sabalenka is the fact that she's heading into uncharted territory here, trying to make a Grand Slam final, and it's something that has eluded her to this point. But looking at the minus 4.5 games, I think I could easily make a case for minus 4.5 or the under 20.5 games. Looking at this one, I think the power is going to be a little too much for Fernandez, and it's more so than she faced earlier in the tournament. And I just think the form, knocking off Barbara Krejcikova, who won Roland Garros and has barely lost to anyone except Ash Barty in recent months, beating her 6-1, 6-4 the other day is impressive form leading into here. So I would be going with the minus 4.5 games in this one.
Sabalenka. Thoughts there, Marcos? You should trade a fair bit of tennis. You been watching much of it?
Not as much as Ace, but I've been watching a little bit. I agree. I just think great run for the young ones are going to find it hard second week, always keep going. And I just think uncharted waters. I know Sabalenka hasn't been there, but she's been closer before. So if she gets it on her terms, I think she'll be too strong. But the crowd will be behind the other girl for sure, which might play a factor.
Okay.
And just, I guess, the reason for the minus 4.5 instead of the 20.5, just in case there is a 7-5 or a closer set there, I think Sabalenka, I could easily see a 7-5, 6-3 type result that results in that covering from Sabalenka that doesn't quite go under the 20.5 games.
Okay, nice little insight there. All right, let's have a look at the men's. Let's have a look at Medvedev versus Alliassime. $1.15 Medvedev, nice and short there. $5.80 Alliassime, and a flat 6 to the line there. The minus has been peppered, 186, 201 the other way, and then total games is 36 flat, $1.90 your pick. Ace, how are we making money here?
Again, it's not normally my area of where I like to attack, but I think the minus games again here, I think for Medvedev. So, Auger Alliassime is in, a bit like the others in the women's, in uncharted territory now. He's into his first semi-final and looking to make the final. But Medvedev has shown, I think, over the last, basically his entire body of work since Wimbledon, that he's been the best player on tour, and probably challenged maybe to Zverev. They've both made the most of Novak Djokovic not playing since Tokyo. So I like the minus 6 games here for Medvedev. I think he has the ability, and you look through his past couple of matches, he's been able to get a cheap set. He got a bagel in the quarterfinal against Van der Sandschulp. So he has shown, that he can break some of the bigger servers in the game. And I think really an interesting part of this matchup will be, Auger Alliassime, when playing Tiafoe the other day, was really trying to go out wide on the deuce side, so serving, as far out wide as he can to the Tiafoe forehand. It worked well against Francis, but if you give Medvedev any sort of angle in any way, shape, or form, he's going to punish you and make the court feel a lot bigger than it actually is. So I think he's going to be able to try and attack and use, I think, his reach and his range a little bit more here. So I think the minus 6 looks to be the play in this one, and Medvedev should see himself in the US Open final come Monday morning our time.
Beautiful stuff. It sounds like an absolute beauty. Everyone's still locked down, so why not watch that as well?
Big weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, it's beautiful, isn't it? The punt's the only thing that's got us all through. I say that in all seriousness. Where would we be without it?
Yeah.
OB?
Yeah, live sport's good, and winning money's better.
Exactly. Fantastic stuff. How's the tournament been for you, Ace? Has it been a fill-up or a bit of a grind?
It's been a bit of a grind. The first week was better than the second week has been, but sitting around 5.5 units up, I think, so far for the tournament. So, look, I will take it pretty much when I break down my stats for the entire year. I've pretty much done really well in Grand Slams and pretty poorly everywhere else. So maybe I'm just a little bit better when I know when players are motivated and keen to perform. But it's been a bit of a grind, I think, across the whole year. And look, fingers crossed that we actually get an Australian Open here in January that we can look forward to next.
What's the betting there? The Australian Open goes ahead. I'd lean unlikely in Melbourne. What do you think, Ace?
The reason I would say unlikely, I think it might get pushed back a little bit or somewhere else into the calendar. I feel like tennis players tested Victorians in terms of, how they perceived their behaviour probably last year with the whole quarantine and all the complaining that came with it. given like I think it's like 50% or a large percentage of players aren't vaccinated and don't seem to want to at this stage, I can't see Victorians going, yep, let's let them in and play some tennis if they haven't followed the rules that I guess everyone else has been following.
Fascinating there.
Yeah, and also the Australian Open lost a fortune last year, and they thought it was going to be a once-off in terms of their bottom line. I don't think they'll be too keen to roll around in January as well, to lose the same kind of budget that it takes to get the tennis players with the hotels and everything like that. I don't think they'll want to go through that again, Ace. If they got the opportunity to push it back, as you said, maybe March would be their first option. Whether that's still too close, time will tell, but I don't think it'll go ahead in January at this rate.
What about you, OB? You're from AFL Ops land. Do you think it's if you had to have a bet, would it be going ahead or not?
I'll say yes. I think just the money that it generates for they might have lost last year, but I think just the money it generates, I think they'll try and do what they can
to get them through, sneak them through, even if they're not vaccinated.
Well, if ScoMo can go home for Father's Day, he can bring Novak in. Surely.
A little side swipe there, bang! I love that. Didn't see it coming.
Gloves up.
Outstanding stuff.
I will say I still think one of the biggest beats or the worst beats of all time would have to be Tennis Australia and the Australian Open having pandemic insurance expire at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
We spoke about that on one of our earlier shows. It's a piece of that. I do love that. If you want more of Ace's stuff, make sure you check out his Twitter account at @Ace_previews, and he's on the tennis circuit 24/7. He's always betting tennis and previewing tennis. It's all for free, so you just click through and get all the grouse from him. But big thanks from us. Good luck for the next couple of days, and we'll be all watching Djokovic hopefully roll around for MG, and hopefully lock of the week. It'll be a grandstand finish if Novak can get it across the line.
Fingers crossed. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks. All right, that's a wrap from us. Make sure you check out our Brownlow stream. We've got over 20,000 in the bank. It's Sunday week, so it's going to be a great little 3.5-hour lock-in. It's sometimes boring as batshit to count, but Mark's expecting an absolute cliffhanger finish here. Could be a tied Brownlow, could be Bont, could be Wines.
Oliver. Maybe
Steele is a bit of a roughie. The Sainers, one of your old men.
He's a good man, Steely.
Yeah,
he's a worthy winner.
Yeah, so it's going to be fantastic stuff, the stream, so make sure you check that out. The NFL show's there. Bet Doctor, we've recorded that. It's heating up at Flemington and Rosehill at Campbell. Run to the Rose. If you're not watching the ponies this Saturday, you are mad. This is where all the horses start to pop out and poke their heads out, and you'll know where the good horses are going to go, and the picture is a lot clearer for spring once you see them all resume and kick off their second starts of their preparation. That's a wrap from us, and good luck with the prelims and the rugby league this week and the tennis, and we'll see you next week.